So today, Chloe, we're looking at the chronic up adaptations. So obviously the purpose of training is to improve performance, right? Chronic adaptations of changes that occur as a result of long-term training. The physiological changes as a result of the physical demands that you put on the body when you're doing the training. And the changes are different depending on the type of training. Aerobic, anaerobic. Think of an African runner who runs the 10K versus a power sprinter or someone like Brad in the gym. The changes are also specific to the different body systems, cardiovascular system, respiratory or muscular. So now we're going to have a look at the chronic adaptations of the cardiovascular system. Increase the size of the left ventricle is a really important one here. Gives you more space to fill with the blood to pump it around the heart, which is what you need to work aerobically. Increased stroke volume is the amount of blood pumped per beat. Also increased cardiac output. That's critical because allow you to have larger volumes of blood leading the heart. You'll also get increased blood volume, increased plasma, red blood cell count, and hemoglobin, which is really important because they carry oxygen around the body by the blood. We also get an increased redirection of blood flow to the working muscles. Increased capillary density at the working muscles. So there's more blood vessels, more surface area, more nutrients and oxygen get into the muscles. And increased cardiac capillary density, so more density around the heart, which means that it can have that oxygen to work and create ATP so that it can continue to beat. That all results in larger volumes of blood being delivered to the working muscles and hot tissue. You also get decreased rest and submax heart rate, decreased steady state heart rate, and decreased recovery heart rate. So it's just all about efficiency. That results mobility to create the same amount of ATP with lower delivery of blood due to increased oxygen carrying capacity. So more efficient aerobic energy system, you can increase to high density lipoprotein. We're looking at the respiratory system now. So we get increased lung capacity. We get increased tidal volume, which is the amount of air that leaves the lungs each minute. We get increased ventilation, which is the amount of air that enters and leaves the lungs every minute. By increasing those, that means we've got more oxygen entering the alveoli all the time, which is where the gas exchange happens. Increased alveolar capillary surface area, increased gas exchange, a higher amount of oxygen to stop within the alveoli because of the type of volume increase. So you've got greater concentration difference between the two, so more oxygen in the bloodstream so it can be transported to the working muscles. Decreased oxygen goes to the ventral tree muscles. So now we're going to look at the muscular system, so you're thinking of yourself in the gym or pride. So the changes here are increased myoglobin stores, which is like the hemoglobin, but it carries the oxygen, but it does it inside the muscle cells, so the tricksy oxygen out of the bloodstream attaches to the myoglobin and in the market and transports her to the mitochondria. Is the aerobic ATP factor of the muscle cells. So you get more mitochondria and they're larger. So you got more factories take care of ATP in an aerobic system. Increased oxidative enzyme stores, taking breakdown carbohydrates and fats reaches ATP. So more oxygen taken up and used by the muscle. And increased above the difference. We get increased glycogen stores, increased triglyceride stores. More fuel available for aerobic ATP production. This results in an increased amount of fuel available for aerobic and ATP production. Training methods that would use for aerobic improvement: fartlek training, long interval training, continuous training, and circuit training. Circle training also in anaerobic too though. But if you do have a question and asks about those training things, it's probably leading you towards aerobic chronic habit adaptations. You are going to have a look at the chronic anaerobic adaptations. So these are from anaerobic training. We're going to start with the cardiovascular system. So we have an increased thickness of the ventricle wall. So that's the muscular wall. And because of that thickness, the more powerful contraction will result in a small increase in stroke volume. So the amount of blood pumped per beat of the heart. You also have increased cardiac vascularization a little bit. Small increase. And decreased blood pressure at rest and submax intensity. Now we're going to have a look at the respiratory system. There is no measurable impact on the respiratory system for anaerobic training. We're going to look at the muscular system, and this is where most of the changes happen. We get more ATP stores, more glycogen, more glycolytic enzymes. So there's more fuel available for anaerobic energy production. They can work at a higher intensity for a longer period of time. You can get increased fiber size, increased motor unit recruitment, which is critical because it's the old or nothing principle. More powerful contraction. Do you want to recruit more motor units? Increase speed of contraction, increase force of contraction, and increase size and strength of connective tissue. Critical because it's a muscle skip because I cannot produce more force. But if we can't could use the force and transfer it by the tendon, then it's not much use to us. So that is increased force and higher intensity of work. Good luck, Chloe, for your exams. You're going to smash her. From your biggest supporter, Billie Eilish.